Well, we have a pretty cool product here today from YESLAK, and that is an LED lighting strip with some functionality. And this is for your Tesla Model 3 or Model Y any year, and this will actually go into the dashboard of your Model 3, Model Y, and actually give you indicators and other functions through that lighting strip. So it's a very cool functional lighting strip, not just for ambient lighting, and can give you some really cool notifications while you're driving. Hit that subscribe button, stay tuned. Let's dive in and take a look. All right, everybody, welcome back. So Paul here with another product review here, and another product review from YESLAK. So they've reached out again and asked me to take a look at this product here. And this is an LED ambient lighting strip for the Tesla Model 3 and Tesla Model Y. Now this works for any Model 3 and Model Y year. And it actually is just an LED strip that you put into your dashboard here. You run it across, but it's not just for ambient lighting. It actually does have some functionality with it. It actually does plug in to basically your computer system of your Tesla Model 3 or Model Y, and will allow you to get some information through the LED lighting. So for indicators or blind spots or something like that, it will actually give you that information through different types of lighting features, basically. And so it's a really cool product that I thought was really kind of neat, because not only is it helpful, it's useful, but it also looks pretty cool in your car. And once again, this is for any year, Model 3, Model Y, even the new Highland Model 3 or Juniper Model Y. Those refreshes will also function with this kit, and you can use it for that extra functionality. And if you're interested, I'll have a link down in the description below. That'll bring you right to the site, and make sure you pick the one for your proper year and vehicle. So this way you get the proper one when you order it. So really, really nice. And let's go over everything you get in the kit, number one. So first thing is they give you some trim tools that you might need for pulling off some trim pieces, because we will need to pull off a couple of interior trim pieces during this process. You do get this wiring harness here that is what basically plugs into your system. So basically this is just going to pass through the data through these here, and then this is what goes to your actual lighting strip. And then you have this side here, which basically has a USB-C, which plugs into this. This side plugs into the lighting strip. It's pretty seamless. We'll go through all that here in a little bit. And then of course you have the lighting strip itself, which is pretty straightforward. It's just a very, well, fairly long, because it has to run the length of the dashboard. And it pretty much just kind of gets wedged in there. As you can see, there's no double-sided tape or anything on this. It's just simply set it and forget it, kind of in a wedged area of this part of this car. So obviously this might be a little different depending on the year or the make or the model of your vehicle, or I should say the year and the model of your vehicle. You're all going to be driving Teslas watching this. And but other than that, I think it's going to be pretty cool. So let's get started with the hard part, which is actually the wiring, or at least I assume that'll be the hard part. So we will need to take some pieces of interior trim off to make this happen. So let's dive into that first. And then once we do that, then we'll come back and get the strip put into place. And yeah, we'll follow up with some testing, see how it looks. And I'm very curious to see how it looks at night. So we'll make sure we'll get some night shots of it as well. All right, so this is a little hard to do without trying to get in the way of the camera, but basically our first steps here are to take off a couple of these trim pieces here. So pretty much the way I like to do this is maybe pull off this first here, like so. So we're just pulling the rubber gasket around the door off, so we can see that that gets out of our way now. Let's open up the glove box here as well. All right, and then we do have this plastic piece right here that should come out pretty easily, just like so. Just kind of pops out. And then we have, I think this plastic piece should pop out like that. We might not even need to take that all the way off, but let's just do it anyway. And then we have this piece here, which has this Oop. Little pop here, it's a little pop rivet, so we're going to use the plastic trim tool they gave us just to pop that rivet out like so. Pretty simple so far. And then here, we'll need to kind of pull this back a little bit. And I might need to get underneath the dashboard a little bit here to do this. But we can see some of the connections already that we need for this to be done. So let's go ahead and, I think I need to move my floor mat. No, actually we could get to it, like so. And let's pull this off a little bit more here. Let's see if we can get under here a little bit more. All right, there we go. Now we got some good looks into there so we could see what we need to do. So let me get you a little closer here so you can actually see what we need to do here with the wiring harness. All right, so as you can see, we have our plastics ripped up a little bit here. This is all very easy to go back together. It's just snaps and basically a little bit of pushing. But as you can see here, we have this small blue connector here. Now this is the one we're going to be needing for this piece right here. So this side is going to go into this blue adapter. And then this side you'll notice is just open because that is the same as this guy here. And basically what this is just a pass-through to allow you to plug other stuff into this in the event in the future that you need to plug more stuff in. So that's pretty simple there. And then this one here is just basically taking the place of this. So you're going to plug or unplug this, plug this in its place, and then this plug here will go into this. So that's just a pass-through for that. And then the last but not least here is this side, which is actually what plugs directly into your ambient light strip. So that will kind of sit somewhere back here. We might hide it. Depends on how we're going to run the ambient light strip. But I wanted to show this first because this always seems to be the part that people are scared about. But you really shouldn't be too scared. What we are going to do is turn off the car from the screen first before we do anything as far as plugging stuff in. And that's pretty simple. I'll show you that as well. But once we get this kind of all plugged in and ready to go, then we're just going to see how the process is for running that strip across the dashboard there. All right, so very simple process for getting the car to be turned off. What you're going to do is hit the little car here in the bottom corner. You're going to go to safety and then scroll all the way to the bottom. And here you will see power off. If you hit power off, it will say, are you sure you want to turn power off? Place foot on brake to turn power back on. Power off. Okay, now we've turned off majority of the systems in the car, so we should be relatively safe for plugging stuff in over here. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, I'm going to try to get you zoomed in as close as we can here, but basically what we're going to be doing here is pushing on this clip, and that just falls right out, as you can see, like that. We're going to take this side of it, and we're going to plug this in like so. Make sure we get this facing the right way. I did not. Let's do that. Okay. And then we've just plugged the opposite side into where that was, like so. And of course, you want to hide this stuff so it doesn't get pinched by, anything. We want to make sure this is kind of out of the way. Sitting back in this little area is fine because there's a big gap here. And then what we're going to do is plug this side into the blue connector. And you might have to do a little bit of pushing to get some of the wires out of the way. There we go. And that is all there is to it. This will stay open just in case you ever need to plug something else additional into this plug. But that is the whole thing. Now we have this side here, which is going to go up and connect into our ambient lighting strip. So we'll find a nice place for that, probably behind one of these panels here, once we get the lighting strip run, and then we can actually run the cable around and try to keep that as clean as possible. But in the meantime, let's get the lighting strip ran and see how that looks. Just wanted to get you guys a close-up of this just in case you couldn't see it from the other camera, but this side plugged into the blue connector here, and this side plugged into nothing because that's just a pass-through. And then this side you have that plugged into this now, and then that passes through to this plug, which originally plugged into here. So hopefully that explains everything a little bit more up close. Once again, we're going to be fiddling with these cables more in just a moment here, but that's pretty much where we're at now with the wiring harness situation. All right, now as far as the lighting strip goes, I was just playing with it for a second there just to see. So you do have this part here, which is white. That is the actual LED lighting strip. So you want that part facing out towards you in the vehicle. The black part, which is a little bit thicker with all the tape on it, that's the part that needs to get wedged into this crevice. Now I'll put some B-roll up of exactly what it looks like once it's pushed into that spot. So this way you get an idea of where it goes or what it looks like. And then once you get it into that crevice, you're just gonna push it in. Now, I also ran this across just to get again an idea of where you should start the LED. And it's basically about 3 to 4 inches from the end here. So right where the vent starts here, you want to come over about 3, maybe 4 inches, depending on how perfect you want it to get, to basically be the same on both sides. And so that's what I'm going to do here, is I'm just going to try to get it lined up as best as I can. If I'm off by a ½ an inch on one side, it's not a big deal. Plus, you can always kind of adjust this later on. But once you get that pushed in, then you could take your cable and run that cable just basically right between the dash here, and that should be pretty good. And so now, while we got that in there, let me go ahead and start getting this lighting strip pushed into place. And once again, I'll show you some close-ups of how I did this, but I'll just start working it down the dashboard. And this will take a few minutes for us to kind of get this settled, but let's see how it looks when it's done. I'm curious to see how this works without any type of double-sided tape. I wonder if it will stick or if it will fall out after a while. I don't know. But we'll test that. We'll see how this works after a week or two. I'll let you know exactly how it's been. But anyway, let me get you some close-up shots of this, and then we'll get it all done. Finish plugging it in on this side. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Really simple, easy installation here. All right, and so now that we are at this point, we could see we have our lighting strip, so that's completely run under the dashboard. That might need some adjustment, but for now it's pretty good. So we have this that comes off the lighting strip, which is just this 3-pin here. We have this little interesting box here that has this USB-C port on it. And then if you look at this, you'll see we have a USB-C cable, and on the other side is that 3-pin. So all we do is plug the 3-pin into the 3-pin, USB-C into that USB-C, and we should have power to our lighting strip. So let's take a look and see how that works. All right, so 3-pin into 3-pin, like so. USB-C into USB-C, like so. All right, that's awesome. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So now we have power, we have connectivity from our OBD2 system in our vehicle, so it can send the signals that are needed for the lighting strip to do all its fancy dances, and we are pretty much good to go. So I think what we'll do is, because I'm feeling pretty confident, is push some of this back into position here, which can be a little bit of a pain. We do have some clips back there we have to line back up and try not to mess anything up in the meantime, but let's go ahead and get that done, and then we'll finish this off after we test some of the lighting. All right, we'll just started the car back up, and as you can see, we have our lighting strip installed here all the way across. Looks pretty good. So I guess that is the ambient lighting there. And I think there's a way, yep, I think if you scroll with the scroll wheel here, I think that's how it works. So now we have red. There's pink. So basically, just to show you, I'm basically just hitting the right scroll wheel. So right now you can see we're kind of like pink here. If I scroll down, then it seems to change some functionality there. So now we're at blue. Interesting. Let's scroll down again. And we see we're back to that. Kind of keeps changing. It's weird. It's like pink now. Let's scroll again. And we're back to red again. Okay. Oh, nope. Now we're I wonder how that works. I have to figure out how that works. Let's try a turn signal real quick. So there we go. So we can see the turn signal is green on that side. And if I put the right turn signal on, oh, why are we not getting the right turn signal? Oh, I'm a dummy. I just realized. So the reason that the right turn signal is not working is because it's currently indicating that the door is open. So for instance, as you can see, this one looks like it's all the same color. If I open the door, that gets brighter to let you know the door is open. I close it and the door goes back to normal. So the turn signal functionality won't work because I have the door open. Duh. Okay, so let me close the door and then we'll play with some more settings. All right, so as you can see here, we are now sitting in the car with the light strip working. Hard to see it behind the screen, but you can see it reflects off of that silver part of the interior. So once again, just for the sake of seeing this from like my perspective. All right, so zooming out, you can see I put my left turn signal on. We get a green indicator over there. Put my right turn signal on, you can see we get a green indicator over there. Same goes for, you know, four ways. You put your four ways on, you can still see all of that. Let's go back in that. And yeah, that's pretty cool. So we saw the door things work, so you can see that the lights get a little bit brighter. Sorry for the focus there. You can see you get that indicator there to tell you that the door is open, which is kind of nice. And yeah, so then I guess what you do is you use this scroll wheel to change the color spectrum. So I'll put you over here. You can see that. I'm going to scroll down. And we should see it change. So yep, so you have that type of lighting there. So it goes almost to like a white. That's white to me. I know it kind of looks maybe a little purpley on the screen there, but that's actually a white light. And then if I scroll down again, it goes through that spectrum. Maybe, okay, so maybe that's off, perhaps. Let's scroll down again. All right, now it's changing to, okay, we're back to like a white. So let me scroll down again. Now it's changing to like a red. And that's almost like a purple. So I don't know if there's like, so it's weird how it kind of goes through like different things, like different color spectrums like that. I don't know if there's a way to like stop it. Like if I wanted that red, how do I stop it on that red? And then we got like an orange. I'm going to keep it on the orange. I think that looks pretty cool, but same difference. Put the turn signal on. You see a turn signal. Very nice. And yeah, we got a lot more functions to try with this. So we're gonna give this a shot in the next clip here. We're actually gonna go for a ride at nighttime to see it actually work really well. So let's go ahead and plan on doing that soon and see how this works. All right, well, we got the YESLAK interior lighting strip installed. So this is pretty cool. So it does have a lot of functionality. For instance, the turn signals, as I showed you before, it has the door opening. It has the blind spot warning as well. So if you have a car coming up in your blind spot, it will warn you. If you have your turn signal on while somebody's in your blind spot, it will give you like a red color for that. It has a lot of functionality as far as like preconditioning the car. So if it's like warming up the battery, it gives you some sort of notification that it's warming up the battery, which is really cool. So we'll have to try that as well. And just some other things like that. So really kind of a neat functionality of this light strip. It's not just for looks. It actually does have some function as well. But yeah, we're going to play with this for the next like couple weeks, see how it works, see how it looks at night. And kind of give you an idea of like, is this distracting or is this really functional? Like, is it really useful every single day? Is it accurate? Is it actually getting the proper signals from the Tesla computer to give you the proper signals basically while you're in the car? So there are a lot of things I want to test with this and I want to use, and I don't want to just end the video right here. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So let's use this for a little bit. I'll let you know of my final opinion on this product. And of course, if you're interested, the product link is down in the description below. And I don't know if I said this earlier in the video, but this is in my 2022 Tesla Model 3 Performance. So this is before refresh. So we don't have any ambient lighting in the interior to begin with. So this is adding some of that as well. But this is a 2022
Model 3. So yeah, so it looks like we're going to have some pretty cool functionality here, and I'm looking forward to testing it. So I'll get back to you guys. We'll go for a trip at night, see how it looks, and we'll give you an idea of whether or not this is worth it. But anyway, let's jump back to this video in just a little bit.
So I just went ahead and navigated to a supercharger near us. So as you can see, it says preconditioning battery for fast charging, right? So here under the dash, you can see we got these 3 lights here, basically notifying us, hey, you are preconditioning the battery for faster charging. So this is an indicator right here to let us know that we have some charging preconditioning going on. And I assume these lights will turn off if we hit preconditioning, but that's really cool to know on a road trip when you're going from charger to charger if your car's preconditioning. I know it says on the screen there, but I think it's really cool to have a visual indicator in front of you, kind of like almost like having a dashboard here, you know, like another gauge cluster here, but it's just made up of lights. So I think that's kind of cool. All right, everybody. Well, it is starting to get dark outside, so we're going to be taking the Tesla Model 3 out for a little bit of a test drive with the YESLAK Ambient lighting strip across the dashboard, and we're going to show you some of the features, some of the lighting abilities that it has. So we're going to go out when it's dark, so this way you can actually see it easier and see all the features that we have. Now, keep in mind that some of the features that we have on this particular vehicle may be different than if you were to put this in a different Model 3 or a different Model Y, a different year. So I think you do get some extra functionality in the newer models with some extra, you know, functionality as far as some of the different lighting things that it can do. So this, keep in mind that we are going to be getting just what our car can specifically do, which is once again a 2022 Tesla Model 3 Performance. So we're going to get out on the road here as soon as it gets a little darker, and we'll see some of the lighting features that it has. All right, let's go for a drive. All right, everybody. Well, you join me now in my Tesla Model 3, and we are going out for a ride. As you can see, we have the white setting set up on our bar here, so we are just doing the normal white. I'm going to put my left turn signal on to indicate that we're making a left here, and as you can see on the left-hand side, we have our green blinking indicator to let us know that we are indeed turning left based on our turn signal. Of course, the opposite happens if you use your right turn signal. You get a blinking light on the right side of the light bar. So as we come up onto the highway here, we're going to see a couple of things here. So what we're going to do is we're going to see an indicator down here in front of me. That's going to be a solid red bar, and what that solid red bar is actually indicating that we are exceeding the speed limit by, I believe it's about 10%. And you can see it blinks at you for a short while there. So it indicates that it's going to yell at you for going that fast over the speed limit. Just to let you know it's happening. It's not going to consistently blink at you, but just enough to let you know, hey, you should probably slow down. If I put it into autopilot here, you see that we get some indicators on the left and the right side, and you can see how they're kind of going through multiple colors. So now it's blue, and it's going to change to a different shade, a lighter blue. It was purple before this, now we're green. So it kind of goes through this rainbow to let you know that you're in this autopilot mode there. So kind of a cool idea. I like that idea as well. Kind of gives you a consistent reminder that, hey, you're in autopilot, so make sure you pay attention, keep your hands on the wheel and whatnot. Another indicator that we will see is our blind spot monitoring. So as you can see, we're coming up on this Jeep here on my left. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually catch up to it. And as soon as it gets to our left side, we're going to get an indicator here on our left side of our dashboard to let us know, hey, you have somebody on your left. Don't make a lane change now because there's somebody there. So it's giving us this warning. Now, if I put my turns up, there's our speed warning again. It came up again just to let us know. But if I were to put my turn signal on while we were in that particular mode, it would actually blink at us even more aggressively. So we're going to catch up to us. And as you can see here, we are getting that blind spot indicator again to let us know that there's a vehicle in our blind spot. Now let's say that you want to navigate to a supercharger, right? So I'm going to navigate to a Tesla supercharger in the area. Now I have to precondition my battery. Well, here you can see we get the 3 dots lighting up here to let us know that our battery is going to be preconditioning for Tesla supercharging. So this is an indicator to let you know, hey, your battery's warming up or cooling down, depending, for that Tesla supercharging session. I'll go ahead and cancel that out so we don't keep having a preconditioning pop up. And that's some of the features that we get with this particular light bar. All right, well, I guess now is the time to give you my opinion on the YESLAK ambient light strip for your Tesla Model 3, Model Y, regardless of year. I think that the product is really cool. I think that it's nice to have something that gives you some more information, especially when you're driving, and that information being some safety stuff. Like, for instance, is there a car next to you? Are you exceeding the speed limit? Is your blind spot blocked by another vehicle? You know, just things like that. Just general information to give you some status information about your driving and what's going on around you, just by something as simple as some blinking lights and some different colors to assist you with that. So I think that's pretty cool. Couple of the negatives I have with this product sits up inside of this little gap here, as you can see, and it does a really good job of sitting up in that little gap there without actually moving. I've actually hadn't really had any issues with it falling out, except for on the driver's side. It's going to be hard to see from this angle, but on the driver's side, it every once in a while it will pop out, and it all depends on how that little crevice in there basically is holding the light strip. Now, of course, you can probably put a little bit of tape on the back of it to thicken it up a little bit, because it's a little bit loose on the driver's side, but on the passenger side all the way across, it seems to be perfectly fine. So that's one of my very few gripes with this, is that it doesn't have a way to adhere to the interior. It's literally just sitting in there. Another small gripe that I have with it is the brightness of it. So in the middle of the day, when it's bright outside and you have the sun coming down the car, you don't really see the light all that much. You do see the turn signals light up and blink. You might even see like the blind spot monitoring, turn on a little bit, but it's not as obvious as when it's either in shade, kind of like right now. We're in a garage, the garage is lit up, and you could see it perfectly fine. But once you have that sun coming through the windshield, and as you can see, I do have the sunshades in right now, blocking some light from the roof of the car, and I'm still having some issues seeing it during the day. So what would have been nice is to have this maybe a little bit brighter during the day, the light, and then maybe it having some programming, so in when your headlights turn on, it could dim down a little bit. So this way it's not as distracting at nighttime because of how bright it is. So it would be really cool to have it a little bit brighter during the day and then maybe dim down a little bit at night. At night, it's perfectly bright. As you can see in the previous video, you can see everything perfectly clear. The light bar, the ambient light is perfectly bright. You could see all the color changing. Everything is nice. In fact, it even reflects off of the side window a little bit. Like, you do see some reflections on other parts of the vehicle. So it's plenty bright at night. Just in the middle of the day when the sun's shining and coming in, it is a little difficult to see the light. So that's one of my only few gripes with the YESLAK ambient bar. Other than that, the installation was seamless. Took me 10 minutes to take out a couple of plastic panels, run the wire. Once again, no adhesive for this particular one. You're actually just taking it and kind of just shoving it underneath the dashboard for my particular vehicle. So that was pretty easy. It just fits in this little crease here. Very simple installation. And also that makes it a very simple removal as well. So I'm very happy with the YESLAK ambient light. I think it looks really cool in the car, but it's also very functional. It gives you some extra functions that you don't normally have. Of course, if you have a newer Tesla vehicle, you have the ambient light already, but this can actually add a little bit of extra functionality to your driving, to your interior of your car. So I think it's pretty cool for that, especially if you have an older generation like I do. Anyway, I'd like to thank YESLAK very much for sending this out to me for review, and I'd like to thank all of you for watching this episode. Once again, links are down in the description if you're interested. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one, and remember, welcome to the future. Welcome to tech motoring. We'll see you soon.